Actor Mary Kay Letourneau was nabbed in a torrid affair with a 12-year-old student.
Actor Hugh Grant, arrested in Los Angeles.
Televangelist Jim Baker was convicted on all fraud and conspiracy counts.
Pop star Michael Jackson admitted
Actor Russell Crowe arrested for throwing
Spears' ongoing scandal over her children, drug use, and other tabloid matters is raising questions about her state of mind.
Arrest for driving under the influence was followed by an abusive verbal outburst.
has made fun of Irish, Jews, Italians, and other ethnicities.
Governor Elliot Spitzer of New York apologized to his family and the public after
charged
being
with
linked to a
indecent
prostitution
exposure.
Televangelist Jim Baker was
All the
convicted of
drug
fraud and
users'
conspiracy
bodies were
counts.
discovered in nearby prescription bottles were legally obtained from 2 physicians.
It's really bizarre to me when someone does something so stupid. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it.
25 years ago, I woke up on a cold marble floor, and I had passed out after a night, I should say another night, of drugs. But something had shifted, and I knew that if I didn't make a dramatic change in my life, that I was going to die. And I called my mother and I said, I need to go back into treatment. And I had already been in treatment 3 or 4 times. All these other times, I left. On day 10, I started to feel great. I'm drug-free. I'm not like any of these people. I'm out of here. And I would pack up my little bag, put my little arrogant suit on, and march myself out of treatment, and I was free. I was going to make it to the other side. By day 6 or 7, I'd be on the phone looking for my drugs and end up right back in rehab. So instead of running away this time, I went into the bathroom and I got down on my hands and knees and I started begging, please, relieve me of this pain. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change my desire to leave. And in that moment, on that floor, something happened to me. Something that was like magic. It was mind-blowing to me. Because all of a sudden, after a few minutes, I knew I could stay one more day. How could I go from terrified and my mind going a million miles a minute to this place of complete peace? I walked out of there on day 28 knowing that there was something that I had to find out about.
The shadow is dark, it's secretive, it can be dangerous.
Shadow is everything that we don't want other people to see.
Things we hide, things that we lie about, not only to others but to ourselves.
And they are the sort of monsters that come out of the caves in the middle of the night.
It is that dark, intrinsic side of us that each and every one of us tries to hide.
Because we've been told from such an early age that these are not acceptable components of who we are.
To have one aspect of the soul, you have to experience the other aspect of the soul to counterbalance it.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I come to talk to you again. Chad, they were talking about the shadow.
The only time you don't have a shadow is if you're standing in the darkness.
The shadow shows up in so many ways. Writing bad checks, drinking too much, cheating on our tax returns, dipping into our expense account or the family trust, eating chocolate cake in the middle of the night after 3 days of dieting and depriving ourselves, screaming at our kids or verbally abusing our partners after being the nice guy at work all day, surfing the internet and visiting porn sites while our wife makes us dinner, cheating on our husband while he is hard at work trying to provide all the extra pleasures in life for our family, stealing our co-workers' ideas and claiming them as our own. The shadow is made up of the thoughts, emotions, and impulses that we find too painful, embarrassing, or distasteful to accept. So instead of dealing with them, we repress them. Right now, hundreds of millions of people are living in denial of their individual shadow. And all of us are being affected by the collective shadow in more ways than we can imagine.
The collective shadow manifests as evil, as war, as terrorism, as social injustice, as radical inequities in our economic status. You know, right now we have 50% of the world living on less than $2 a day, 20% of the world living on less than $1 a day. We are totally in denial of the fact that this is also a manifestation of our collective shadow. Why? Because people in social institutions, financial institutions, political institutions, corporate institutions are in total denial of the shadow energy. They don't even understand it. Or even what we call evil in the world is the manifestation of our collective shadow, turned pathological, repressed, in rage, in denial. People who express self-righteous morality are usually the ones who have the darkest, deepest shadows. The shadow of the Catholic Church, which pronounces on homosexuality as evil and calls gays sinners, while hiding pedophiles in its own clergy. These are all expressions of the shadow.
The entire trajectory of human history at this point is like the Titanic. It is headed for an iceberg. It is going in a direction that is unsustainable, and it is going in a direction that is unsurvivable. If not for us, then at least for our children or our grandchildren. And from an archetypal perspective, each and every one of us is the captain. And the temptation is, it's too painful. The temptation is to just distract ourselves. The temptation is to pretend it's not happening. Or the temptation is to go into cynicism. Or the temptation is to just go into anger and indulge that and not do anything. And each and every one of us are challenged at this point. Don't be the captain who just goes downstairs and goes to sleep.
Everything that expands has got to contract. What goes up's got to come down. People are going to be confronted with their shadow all of a sudden. They've been living high, living wonderful. Everything's been exorbitantly exuding, and now suddenly there's going to be a contractive phase. And if you haven't met yourself, if you haven't done your self-work, if you haven't been on the inside and done some exploration and cleaned up, you know, cleaned your house and detoxed it, you're going to be in trouble.
The birth of our shadow occurs when we are very young, before our logical thinking mind is developed enough to filter the messages we receive from parents, caregivers, and the world at large. Even if we had the best of parents, we inevitably got shamed for displaying certain qualities and received the message that something about us was not okay, that something was wrong with us, or that we were bad.
You greedy little toot, how are you going to eat all those before dinner?
These messages get ingrained in our subconscious like a computer virus, altering our perception of ourselves and wounding our healthy sense of ego. When we suppress any of these qualities, we are living in denial of all of who we are.
And of course, it's different based upon our environment. If you're raised in a family of blue-collar workers, and you declare that you want to play the piano or you want to become an artist, that artistic quality will be negatively received, and you may end up having to suppress that. On the other hand, if you're raised in a family of artists and intellectuals and you declare that you want to start working on construction or you want to be really athletic, that may also be perceived of as negative.
We try with all our might to pretend that we are not that which we hate. In fact, proving this is an all-important task for the wounded ego. A task which the ego believes is vital to its existence. The wounded ego